So a lot of you guys have been asking me about the saw I'm using for cutting my agates, and I feel like it's probably the best saw that's available on the market. It's only manufactured by a small German company, and it's a one-man company, and he's kind of retired already, so it's not really produced anymore, and I have three saws of this type. And it has a lot of special features that most other agate saws don't have. I feel like I have never seen any other saw that even compares remotely to the abilities that this saw has. And one of my favorite features in this saw is actually, if you come a little bit closer here, you can see I just put one of the Malawi agates in the vise right now. And the cool thing is that I can turn the clamps 360 degrees, so I can turn it as often as I want to check in which angle it's cutting from all sides. And I also installed a little laser here, so I can, if you get even a little bit further over here, you can see I can directly imagine where the cut will be going with the saw blade. So that's just a little something to play around with, but being able to turn the agate after having it put in the saw is, I think, the most ideal thing you can have. And the setup is pretty easy. I just take this little tool to tighten it in the saw, so the saw is not able to move around, and then I can look in every single direction if I feel like it's cutting the perfect way. So a lot of very valuable agates I'm cutting, I want to be able to cut them exactly on the millimeter where I want to cut them, because even the slightest difference can make a difference in value over several $100 or maybe even $1,000 if I'm not able to cut directly next to a fracture or next to a window, for example. So it's super crucial to be able to cut directly where I want to cut. And there's another cool feature, so I can use this little opening here to move the entire setup from left to right. So if I want to cut some slabs, which I commonly don't really do because I'm only cutting for high quality specimens and not for slabs in general, but it is a possibility to just move the entire setup left to right to be able to cut some slabs as well easily. So that's what this is for. I have an extra light here, so it can shine to the side, but there's also an integrated light already from the saw, but this one's a lot stronger, so I just got a little extra light here. Then we have the oil pump, so there's like an entire oil filtration system at the bottom of the saw, and if I press this little button here, then the oil is going to be pumped from the bottom right here on the saw blade. And at the moment I have a saw blade in the saw that is only 350 millimeters high, but I can also exchange this saw blade for larger sized saw blades, and also that is super easy. Changing a saw blade in this saw is easier than in any other saw I've ever seen. So you just take the same tool, put it right into here, open it up, and saw blade is out. That's how easy it is.
As you can see, it's not dangerous to touch the saw blade as it is running, because the saw blade itself is not cutting with any sharp edges it has, but only with the diamonds that are pressed into the metal plate and that cut through the stones, because the diamond is stronger than pretty much any kind of stone. So it's not hurting my fingers because they're soft, but it's only cutting through hard material. So if in case I touch it with my fingernails, for example, it will grind down a little bit of my fingernails, but it will not hurt my fingers itself.
So I'm just gonna put it back on because we want to cut some agates. But yeah, that's like the main setup of the saw. And I can also show you a few other features that I think come in handy, especially if you have different sizes of saw blades, because a smaller saw blade will need a higher turning rate in order to put the same cutting rate, because a bigger saw blade will need to have a lower turning rate of the saw blade because of the size. It will still rotate in the end at the same speed, even if it's at a lower turning rate. So with this button here, I can change how quickly the saw is actually turning. And with this button here, there's a hydraulic. It's actually a hydraulic drop system. So with this button here, I can change how fast the rock is actually dropping on the saw, and it's pretty easy to use. And if I like loosen it up entirely, the arm, like where it's dropping, has a weight of 13 kilos. So if I just loosen it all the way, then there's a pressure of close to 30 pounds pressing the rock onto the saw blade. But by just regulating it, I can just very controlled cut all of the stones. So in the beginning I can go in the rock with very little pressure, and also in the end I can take so much pressure off that there will not be any broken ends, or just very little broken ends, compared to if you have like an automated pressure of the rock pushing it into the saw blade. Then you will have a lot more bigger breaks in the end, versus if you are able to control the pressure on the of the rock on the saw blade. So that is, I feel like two of the best things about the saw is being able to control the pressure, being able to control the rotation, being able to control the angle of how you want to cut it. So there's just so many good things about this saw, and I'm super happy with it, and especially for like the super high precision cuts I need to make. I feel like this is the best saw I've ever been working with. Alright, let's cut an agate. I have 3 small agate nodules from the Alimajo location in Malawi. One of them is already showing beautiful yellow and orange color on the one side, as well as on the other side. It's still a little bit dirty here, but that's going to be an easy cut, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be a really nice specimen. Then on this one it only has a small window, but there's some orange color peeking through as well. It's got another tiny window over here, so I will just cut it across this section here and hopefully get 2 nice halves out of it. And then the last one is not showing too many indications, but there's like a tiny little hole that looks like it's crystallized quartz. So I assume it will either be a floater or just maybe entirely filled even with quartz, and I'm just going to cut it for the biggest volume of the stone just across this ridge here. And yeah, let's see what's getting out of these 3 pieces. Alright, we are ready to cut a little Malawi agate. So right now I'm just dropping it about a millimeter above the saw blade. So it's ready to cut, and I don't have to wait for a minute until it's even reaching the saw blade. I just tightened the rotation here, so it's not moving anymore. I checked if the rock is in tightly, which is super important, because if the wrong is if the stone is not like super tight in the clamps, it might happen that it's flying out and it might destroy your saw blade, which costs around between $100, $150, $200 depending on what kind of saw blade you have. Let's cut this agate. I'm turning on the oil, so there's going to be good cooling, and I start the saw. Right now we have it on, so you can see I can now it's almost not moving, and I can just slowly turn the rotation up until one of the highest speeds, because we have a small saw blade in the saw right now. It's moving slightly. So it's not perfectly aligned, but this is still fine, so it doesn't affect the cut a lot. And this is about as fast as it goes, and I will just go a little bit less than the highest speed because we're using a small saw blade right now. And now I'm slowly opening this one up to slowly drop the agate onto the saw blade. And now you can hear it's already slowly cutting into the agate. And once it's made its way, I can loosen it up more, so there's more pressure on the saw blade of the rock. And before the end I will close it again. There's also a glove here inside of the saw, so I can even hold onto the agate, so it's not falling into the system. And now we're just waiting for a minute until it's done with the cutting. Getting close to the end, so I completely closed the pressure of the hydraulic system. And if I feel like there's no after pressure from the hydraulic system, then I can open it up a little bit again, so it continues to cut. So I'm just opening it up a little bit. And just after peeling, I close it a little bit, just so I can see it's not cutting too fast and not too slow. And with my left hand, I'm holding the rock in my hand, so it's not falling in the saw. And already done cutting, and it turned out beautiful. Wow. Look at this cute little Malawi agate. Just beautiful colors. Yellow, red, a little bit of chromatography. It's got a tiny little fractures here, but the colors are really beautiful. And that's what the Malawi agates are famous for, these striking colors. And you can see on the other half, and that's one of the good features about this saw is, so I can just easily open it up here. You can see it has no saw marks, it has nothing, no ridges broken off at the end. So especially for the high quality agates, it matters so much that you don't have any break-offs. So I really value this saw a lot, and I'm very happy that that I have this saw, and I have beautiful agates to use this saw as well. This is the second Malawi agate we've been cutting. It was the one that only showed like a little bit of orange on the window here, but it turned out really beautiful with just very saturated red color in the center. Yeah, this is also from the Alimaggio location, which produces some of the best cutting rough right now, also at a very affordable price. So I was right about the little quartz opening here. You can almost not see it, but I cut it right across the ridge and you can see it is filled with a lot of quartz, but also has a small little orange floater. So it's still a nice piece. I wouldn't say very valuable though. It's probably like average of what you will be cutting from this location. So it's really good cutting rough.